prosecutor stands up and says, you know, if he does this again, I'm going to grieve him. Hey, if it's that bad, just file a grievance, baby. You know, I'll answer the letter. Judge, here's why I did it ex parte. I don't want him to know why I want this expert, and now you're going to make me put this on the record. And I tell the judge exactly why I want an expert. The judge denies it. So what do you think I did? I appealed. And when you have a case in the city of East Lansing that goes beyond just a plea and a sentence, and you bill at the outlandish hourly rate of $45 an hour. So I'm racking in the dough. While I'm filing this appeal, I go up to circuit court. The judge gives us a hearing. We have a hearing. So that's 2 times to go to court. Once for the request for the hearing and once to get the hearing. And then the judge denies it. Affirms the district judge's refusal to give me money for an expert witness. My expert said, hey, listen, I'll do this for $750. And the judge denied it. So, what's left for me to do? Well, I'm going to go to trial. And I'm going to see if I can get my expert to do this as cheaply as I can. And I said, I'll pay you. And we cut a deal. And he's going to do it for $250. And so I send the city attorney a letter and I say, my expert's coming, so be ready. I want to inspect your data master. I want to come in with an RF, radio frequency detector. I want to look at the thing. I want to take a picture of it because I don't trust it. My client is innocent. Oh yeah, by the way, have you looked at the motor vehicle report? Because we're going to have another hearing on a motion because my client passed all the field sobriety tests. And guess what? Your officer is laughing at him because he's so nervous. We pick a jury. We're ready for trial. The city attorney called me. Guess what? We're going to give your client a careless driving. That's basically a speeding ticket. 3 points on his license, offer you can't refuse. The first offer that I made when I first got the case to settle the case. The bill that I submitted to the city is well over $750. So the city just cost the taxpayers more money by denying me an expert witness on an indigent case. The judge's rationale was, you can do this on every case. You can go get an expert on every case. Judge, you think I'm going to go with like a .29 and ask you for an expert to challenge the data master? Give me a break. I mean, we got some unusual extenuating circumstances here. That is an example of what is going on in our system. Right here in East Lansing, in literally the shadow of the state capitol. One more example that I want to give you. I don't know if anybody in here is familiar with Walter Swift.
I'm familiar with Walter Swift.
Professor Fell? Peggy?
I'm familiar with Walter Swift.
WalterSwift.com. Go to that website. That's another thing you can do. I sat next to Walter Swift about a month ago at one of these things. He spent, well, do you know how long?
26 years.
26 years in prison, and he was finally exonerated after the Innocence Project. Finally got DNA tested. He is a broken man. I don't want another Walter Swift. You don't want another Walter Swift. Walter Swift is our fault, and it's our problem, and we need to fix it, so do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. As Ken mentioned, you may have to. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mark.
I'm trying to find an excuse to leave too.
Well, don't use Mark's. Don't use Mark's excuse because this is one you probably don't want to have to use. Next will be Anzalone, and just want to let you know in terms of time, we were supposed to go until 11:35, but because we started late, I've been advised we're going to go until 11:45 for purposes of your lunch plan.
I am going to use the podium just because I've been talking for 2 days straight and my voice isn't as loud as it normally is. I'm a public defender in Lenawee County. We are we are appointed by a judge. There are 3 of us. How many people are here are attorneys? I thought I recognized a lot of you from CDAC conferences and so forth. There are 3 public defenders in Lenawee County. We handle all of the felony appointments. So anyone who is newly charged with a felony will be appointed to one of the 3. Now granted, some people do hire attorneys. And I would say maybe, right now in this economy, 10% are being hired up. So that means on average, 30 new felonies a week. 10% of that would be, I don't know, I usually have 6 to 8 new felony cases each week. Last year I was running about 10 each week. Now, we have 3 public defenders. We handle all the new felony appointments. We handle front of the court show causes, which are for people who don't pay their child support. They get show caused into court in front of a judge. There's usually 2 appearances for each person. We handle all violation of probations. Very rarely does someone hire an attorney for that, and that would be someone who's on probation in the circuit court who violates the terms of their probation. That's court appearance. We also handle extraditions, any number of items in the circuit court arena. I am in court on average 2 to 6 hours every day, Monday through Friday. Now, as I said, there are 3 of us. There are 9 prosecutors in our county. There are specializations within the prosecutor's office. We have a woman who handles all the CSC trials and cases from start to finish. We have a prosecutor who handles all the domestic violence and related charges. We have one prosecutor who specifically handles adult abuse, neglect, juvenile cases through the probate court. We have one that handles all front of the court cases, and then we have 3 who are, their whole role is to do felony trial cases. And then we also have the chief prosecutor, who is an appellate attorney. Brilliant man, he's the chief prosecutor, so he does all the appellates. Now, my issue isn't compensation. I think I get paid relatively well. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not here promoting a reform in Michigan because of money. That's not what I'm about. I make exactly pretty much the same salary for my public defender contract as a prosecutor makes. But that's all I get. They get a part-time secretary that goes to their office with them for 20 hours a week. They have a full-time secretary and staff in the prosecutor's office. They have a staff of 6 that are full-time in the courthouse. They're constantly going to seminars, training programs. They have investigators of their own. They have resources, technology, anything they need in the courtroom. So even though we're paid on the same level, there's parity there, there's nothing else. Yesterday, my client was convicted of a first-degree criminal sexual conduct with 4 prior felonies. Now, it was a rough day. Most of my clients, I will be honest and say, most of them are guilty of the crimes they end up pleading to. In this case, I really don't think, in this case, he was guilty. And I rarely say that, as one of my associates can verify. I'm not one of those people who think all my clients are innocent. I don't. He is probably never going to leave prison. Now, I had asked certain times for something to be investigated. I don't have an investigator. So I have to call the prosecutor's office, then call the lead investigator for them and ask him if he would look into it, and he can say no. I've asked for evidence, to preserve evidence. I'll send out a motion or my request and say, please do not destroy, please preserve any evidence. And the letter I get back from them says, we will keep what we want, we will destroy what we want. If you have a problem with it, file a motion. So, that's the parity I'm looking for. That's my biggest issue. I want to be able to play on a level playing ground against the prosecutors. I want to be a threat, not something that's dismissed as a necessary evil, which is somehow the feeling I'm left with in our county. Yeah, we got to pay them, we got to make sure they have representation, but don't make too much noise and it'll cause too much trouble, too much problems. As I look through the 11 principles, in some ways we do pretty well for the state of Michigan, in some ways we don't. The selection of public defenders and payment is not independent. We're selected by the chief circuit court judge, and we're paid by the county from his budget. Now, I will say, in terms of what we do, they do not try to exercise any control over us. I've never had a judge turn me down on a request for perhaps